So let's talk about creating the perfect bedtime routine for your little one aged 4 months to 2.5 years. So if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Jensine. I'm a certified pediatric sleep consultant and a mom of 3 who takes real life sleep science and actual real life strategies and brings them together to get you all the sleep that you need and deserve. So we're going to talk about bedtime routines today because anytime I make a change with any client, I always start with bedtime. That is the best time to start to implement anything because it is the time where your child has the most sleep pressure, their melatonin levels are going to be higher, they're going to have a lot more time to work on these strategies where like a nap, we have a finite time frame. We need them to sleep in a certain amount of time, else it's going to throw off the rest of the day. So nights are the perfect time to implement sleep changes. So the first thing we're going to think about is timing. So if naps are an issue and you're not really sure when your child should be napping, how long they should be napping, if they're refusing naps, I have a whole bunch of other videos in my playlist on my channel that are going to go through those. So I'm not going to talk about timing by specific age in this video, but I'm going to tell you that the timing for your child for their bedtime is so important. We do not want them to be upset during their bedtime routine. And often if children are not tired enough or they are overtired, but especially if they are overtired, that is going to be a reason that they're going to be upset at bedtime. We don't want bedtime to be a stressful time. We don't want as soon as you walk into their room for them to start crying. We don't want the whole bedtime routine of changing a diaper and putting on sleep sack and all those good things to be a struggle. We want them to be a nice, easy, relaxing part of your day. So if you are noticing that your child is upset throughout the bedtime routine, the first thing you're going to do is take a step back and look at the timing for the rest of the day. Are they awake for too long before bedtime comes and you're noticing that they're tired and then you're starting bedtime routine? Typically by the time we see tired signs, it's too late. We have like 5 minutes to get our children to bed before they hit overtired. So we want to start bedtime routine before they are showing any signs or symptoms of being tired. So the next thing we're going to talk about is a bath, and that is like a famous thing in a bedtime routine. Everyone always talks about the bath in a bedtime routine. But if your child does not like baths, baths are not something to do in a bedtime routine. We do not want to ramp them up, make them super upset, have them crying and screaming and all that, and then try to calm them down for bed. It's like if here is their base level, we want to get them lower so they can fall asleep. We don't want to ramp them up, then try to struggle to get them down to normal, and then try to bring them back down to sleep. We want to keep them as neutral as possible during that bedtime routine so they can slip into sleep a lot easier. So if you know that bedtimes are a struggle, sometimes it comes in phases, sometimes your child just never likes bath time, do it some other time during the day, in the morning when they wake up, after they get home from daycare or school or whatever it is, that would be the time to do it. So if your child is having a hard time winding down before bedtime, say, oftentimes when children get overtired, they ramp up. They actually become more hyperactive. And it's kind of like as adults when our mind starts racing when we're laying down for bed and we can't stop thinking. It's similar for children. Their bodies react. They're moving, they're grooving, they can't stop. So you want to hit them before that overtiredness sets in. But if you are noticing that the closer it gets to bedtime, the more they seem to ramp up, we have to kind of artificially set the scene for them. So we dim the lights. We play kind of darker, quieter games where things are a little bit calmer, things are a little bit soothier. That's not a word, but things are definitely like trending in that direction. Some kids just need a lot more wind down time to be able to relax before bedtime comes. They're not able to just kind of flip the switch and be ready for bedtime right away. They need more wind down time before they're actually able to fall asleep. So say hi to Nate. But on the flip side, if your child, typically children on the younger side, so that 4 to 6 month, they have a harder time staying awake for a bedtime routine because as they are feeding, they get really tired during that routine and it's hard to keep them awake to put them into the crib awake. So for that case, you're actually going to do the opposite and you're going to keep the lights on and the sound machine off. So for children that are getting too tired during the routine, we make the environment lighter, brighter. We feed them in the living room. We keep the lights on and the sound machine off when they're feeding. So we're not setting the scene too much so that they are able to stay awake during that bedtime routine, and we're not making it so conducive to sleep that it's impossible for them to stay awake. So 2 more things that you really want to be thinking about. We really want to find ways to minimize transitions. And by that, we don't want to be coming in and out of different rooms as we are doing our bedtime routine. Oftentimes when I'm working with clients, they're telling me we go to the bathroom to do bath, and then we go to the kitchen to have a bedtime snack, and then we go back to the bathroom to brush teeth, and then we go into their room to do diaper and pajamas and lotion, and then we go back to the living room and say goodnight to all of their toys, and then we go back to their room. We want to minimize as many transitions as possible, because the more transitions we make, the more likely it is that we get distracted, that they see something that they want to do instead of going to bed, that things can just start to fall apart. So really we want to streamline that bedtime routine as much as we possibly can. So if you're doing a bedtime snack, we're doing that in the kitchen before we go on to the next thing. Once you do a bath, we're doing bath, we're brushing teeth, we're doing all bathroom things, trying the potty if they're starting to do potty training, doing all of the bathroom things before coming into their room. Once they're in the room that they are going to sleep in, essentially they are not leaving that room until morning. We end in here, we do pajamas, we do books, we put you into the crib. We're not leaving the room after we enter this room. So if you're thinking, our bedtime routine is a little disjointed, or here and there and everywhere, really start to think about how can we streamline that? How can we minimize those transitions to eliminate distractions, to eliminate just things that don't really actually need to be done, or it can be done in a different order. And then the last thing to think about is really adding a book in to encourage some language development. So even though my background is in early childhood special development, but I became a sleep consultant, I still know the importance of reading books at bedtime. And this could look a little bit different depending on your child's age. If they're on the older side, closer to 2.5, and they have more language, you can talk about their day. You can read a really familiar book and have them fill in the words. If they're on the younger side, it can be more about like a tactile experience. Maybe you have those books that have like the soft areas for animals and then have the rough areas for other things. So really, what can we do to encourage some kind of language development, some kind of just tactile development, sensory experience at this age? We really want to put that into the bedtime routine as a way to unwind, but as a way to be kind of like a period on the end of the day. This is the last thing that we do. This is how we wrap up with this connection before you go to sleep. And then the biggest piece is that they go into the crib wide awake. And from there, we help them learn how to figure out how to fall asleep. And if that is your sticking point, then I want you to go to the pinned video on my channel. It's going to talk about how to get started with sleep training without doing cry it out. As a mom of 3 who's worked with hundreds of clients, I do not teach a cry it out method because it didn't feel right for me. And I can't ask you to do anything that I couldn't do myself. So I hope this was super helpful and you now have some new insights on how to make your bedtime routine much smoother. Really thinking about the timing. Is this a good time for my child? Are they too overtired before even starting the routine? Do they like baths? Is that something we need to move so I'm not upsetting you before I'm asking you to calm down to sleep? If you are really amped up, how do I help you wind down before a bedtime routine? If you're too tired during bedtime routine, how do I keep you awake and alert longer? And how do we build that connection as the last piece, the period on the end of our day? So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.